Moving on. Rise. I posted about this and I told you I would talk about it. So, what is this? The loaded creatine from Rise supplements. Why is this a big deal? Why is this relevant? Why does anybody care about this, right? Well, for many people, myself included, I used to take a pre-workout every time I would go to the gym. Didn't matter the time of day, didn't matter what I was doing. I would always take a pre-workout. And my pre-workouts would always have beta alanine and caffeine in them. And there's nothing wrong with having beta alanine or having caffeine in a pre-workout. It's perfectly fine if you like to have that in there, that's fine. But I found that I didn't get I didn't get any benefit from having beta alanine in it. And if you've done pre-workout before, when you feel super itchy and you feel like you want to rip your skin off almost because you have these little tingles everywhere, that's beta alanine. And the only way that I've found to get rid of that feeling is to run. And so if I am going to use beta alanine, I have straight up beta alanine and I use that pretty much every time I go for a run because that helps reduce the soreness. If my legs are sore going into a run and I take that, I feel amazing. I feel great. And my legs don't get as sore after the workout. And when I am in the middle of running, they're not as sore, no matter what I did the previous day or previous couple of days prior. So it's very, very helpful if you are going to do any sort of cardio. If you're going to be running for 30 minutes to an hour, get some beta alanine. And if you have a pre workout that has beta alanine in it, use it before you go on a run. Um, and if you like using it before going into the gym and you like that feeling, and if you've gotten used to it by now, that's fine as well. Just whatever you like. But I am saying that you don't need it in terms of endurance or building muscle in the gym. That's not its primary function in the gym. So I have not taken a pre-workout in almost 2 years. Wow. Almost 2 years, yeah. And the last pre-workout I did take was Gorilla Mode. And that was the best pre-workout that I've ever taken in terms of the actual ingredients and effects that I was feeling. The taste of it wasn't amazing. But I didn't really care. I would just put one scoop in, drink it down, and then go to the gym and have a great workout. Since then, I've just been doing either creatine or mostly I just eat. I have a clementine or a peach or an apple. Those are the main things that I'll do before I go to the gym. My favorite thing is either a clementine or an apple. I like clementines probably the most because I find they're the easiest to eat. I sometimes don't like the skin of apples. That sometimes bothers my teeth a little bit. But if you want to, you are more than able to choose whatever you want to do before you go to the gym. I prefer to eat rather than to take a pre-workout formula just because I find that having those carbs in your system digesting, I usually take it. Usually, I try not to eat more than 30 minutes before a workout, especially any kind of protein, any kind of dairy product or anything like that before I work out. But now to talk about the Rise supplements. Their new loaded creatine, I saw in a Instagram ad. Oh, it wasn't an Instagram ad. It was an Instagram post by the CEO of Rise Supplements talking about how he used to be a power lifter and how he always liked having a creatine formula, but he wanted more than just straight up creatine. So he decided to create his own. And I think this is one of the best ways to get creatine possible. And I'll break it down. Many things that you'll see here are already in many different pre-workouts, but I don't like to take caffeine, and I don't like to have beta alanine in my pre-workouts. And yeah, there's a lot of pump stuff like L-citrulline that you'll find as some of the most highly dosed things in a pre-workout. I feel as though I work out just fine without it. And I don't really want to spend that extra money just for an extra little bit of performance. I feel as though I can perform just well enough if I just make sure that I eat before going to the gym and have enough water. So the loaded creatine, it's time to reach your maximum potential with Rise Loaded Creatine. This versatile formula was designed to enhance strength, power, and endurance, leading to your best self. It's time to maximize those gains and rise above. All right, so here are the ingredients: creatine monohydrate, betaine anhydrous, Magna Power, creatine HCl, and Peak ATP. Here's the label, as you can see. 30 servings per container, about $45 after tax. So it's a little over $1 a serving, but if you're going to do this before workout, I do think it is important. Now, if you don't want to use this, unless like if you're going for like a PR or something like that, definitely do that. But I mean, you don't have to take it every day, but creatine is one of those things where it's easy to take every day because it although it doesn't mix perfect, it doesn't really, you can get it unflavored, so you don't even notice that it's there. And you can just put it in a giant water bottle and drink it throughout the day. That's kind of how I do it. But anyways, 1 gram of carbs, so less than 10 calories per serving. It does have some calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, sodium, and potassium in it. So it does have electrolytes in it to help with keeping you hydrated. And then to get to the good things, creatine monohydrate, as many of you know, the most sought after and the most studied supplement in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. Creatine monohydrate, 4 grams. Most people say you should get 5 grams. And I wish that they did include 5 grams of creatine, but they do explain why. And then they have betaine anhydrous, which I will talk about in a second. They have 2.5 grams of that. Then they have magnesium creatine chelate as Magna Power, 1.5 grams right there. So this is creatine, okay, but it has some stuff added onto it, which I'll get to in a second. Then they have creatine HCl, 750 milligrams of that. And then they have adenosine 5-triphosphate disodium as peak ATP, 450 milligrams. All right, now let's get into what are these ingredients? First off, let's go to betaine anhydrous. This is set for set.com. There are many mechanisms, compounds, and processes within the body that, while underrated, play an essential role in our overall health, doing everything from fighting diseases to improving gym performance. A perfect example of this is betaine anhydrous, a naturally occurring compound formed from the amino acid glycine and 3 methyl groups. For this reason, it's also referred to as trimethylbetaine. Unfortunately, many people aren't even aware of what betaine anhydrous is or what it does, and there are many great benefits. It's important we discuss it. What is it? It's a naturally occurring compound that plays several important physiological roles in the body. There are several forms of betaine, with betaine anhydrous being the most beneficial and the one you're more likely to find in a pump formula pre-workout. Betaine anhydrous, also known as TMC, trimethylglycine, as its structure is composed of the amino acid glycine and 3 methyl groups. It's also sometimes referred to as the methyl donor betaine, as its health benefits are derived from its ability to donate its methyl groups. This is primarily done during the methylation cycle, in which it donates its methyl groups to a chemical called homocysteine. This reaction then produces the amino the amino acid methionine. It's also been over the past few years that the health benefits of betaine have been thoroughly researched along with the effects of betaine supplementation. The main area of research has been centered around its relationship with homocysteine levels and the resulting effect. While more research needs to be done, betaine anhydrous does seem to offer numerous benefits that just about every population would be interested in. This includes everything from improving liver health to decreasing lung cancer to body recomposition. Before we go any further, we want to talk about two compounds that sound similar to betaine anhydrous and can be sometimes confused. The first one is beta-alanine, an amino acid and effective sports supplement. In fact, it's one of the most popular and beneficial ones you can buy and is often responsible for pre-workout making you tingle and itch. However, beta-alanine has nothing to do with betaine anhydrous. The names kind of look similar. And when you consider that many compounds have numerous names, it's not unheard of for people to just assume that they're the same. The second one is betaine hydrochloride, and it has much more in common with betaine anhydrous. Betaine hydrochloride is simply another form of betaine that helps control healthy stomach acid levels. However, betaine anhydrous is generally thought to be the more effective compound. Like many other compounds, such as creatine, betaine can be synthesized internally as well as through dietary intake. However, our dietary betaine intake is responsible for the majority of our levels. The most common betaine-containing foods include beets, wheat bran and wheat germ, spinach, spaghetti. It's also very easy to find quality betaine supplements on the market. All right, so then it kind of talks about the mechanisms of betaine supplementation from health perks to improve performance for building muscle. Still not exactly clear how betaine anhydrous produces all of its beneficial effects, but here are the most likely mechanisms that account for them. 1. Decreases homocysteine concentrations, promotes cell hydration, increases creatine levels. Yeah, and it says, one thing to note, it's not clear if taking betaine supplements on top of creatine supplementation provides even more of an increase in benefits. However, it does help to increase your level of creatine. It works kind of in conjunction. What are the performance and health benefits of betaine supplementations? Improves heart health and increases heart disease. Can mitigate and prevent cardiovascular disease. Chronic betaine supplementation can improve serious liver disease. For working out, this is important. Increases anaerobic power production. A study from 2012 examined the cycling sprint performance of 16 active individuals, both male and female. In the study, participants performed 4 12-second max effort sprints either with the consumption of a carbohydrate electrolyte beverage or a carbohydrate electrolyte beverage with approximately 2.5 grams of betaine. At the end of this study, participants consuming betaine improved both average and max power output. Separate research examined the effect of betaine supplements on experienced lifters with an average body fat percentage of around 16%. Multiple variables were examined, including muscular power and endurance while performing the bench press and back squat. After 6 weeks of betaine supplementation, the participants were able to perform more volume on the bench press while also improving muscular strength. This shows betaine can seriously step up your athletic performance game. And like it said earlier, it also improves strength and increasing muscle mass. It improves body composition. All right, now here we get to kind of something that's once again relevant. How much betaine anhydrous should you take? Is this rye supplement giving us enough betaine where it's going to make a difference, where it's going to actually be effective? Or are they underdosing? Further, there are several variables you need to consider that could affect how much betaine you need. What does your diet look like? Why do you want to take betaine? Have you been diagnosed with a condition or are you self-prescribing? On the other hand, if you think you might just need some, you can purchase quality options on it. Check out the best beat supplementation. Generally speaking, the average dose is 1 to 2 grams orally administered betaine in addition to however much you eat in your diet. Then it kind of talks about how to increase the betaine, and mostly it's just eat a lot of beets. Beets are really good for blood flow. Betaine and conjugated linoleic acid. Is betaine safe? Yes, betaine is 100% safe. Best way to consume it. And then here's some pre-workouts. Here are all of those references. So that's what betaine is. It helps you to create power, and it works in conjunction with creatine to help you make power, but also it has a lot of good effects on your body, just like creatine. Creatine is great for the brain. It's great for brain health. And betaine is great for your liver. It's great for your cardiovascular system. It's great for blood flow. And it's great for making you look like a dog. Now, going back to here, you see, 2 grams, it said 1 to 2 grams is good enough for you. This has 2.5 grams of betaine anhydrous, which is what we like to see. Next up, PKTP. The hell is this? This is supplementengineer.com. PKTP is a clinically researched patented form of adenosine 5-triphosphate disodium that is identical in structure to human ATP. Research has shown that supplementation with PKTP may improve athletic performance and body composition by increasing muscular excitability, blood flow, and recovery. Studies note that PKTP is effective after a single dose, 400 milligrams, for increasing the ratio of muscle activation and power output during high intensity exercises, and may also help prevent performance drop-off as training goes on. How does it work? Obviously, we know ATP as cellular currency of energy production in the body. It is constantly being used and regenerated in cells via cellular respiration. Each day, the human body creates and burns about as much ATP as its own body weight. Beyond its role in producing usable energy for cells, ATP also serves as an important extracellular signaling molecule, acting as a neurotransmitter in both the central and peripheral nervous systems. Furthermore, ATP and its derivative adenosine are involved in muscle contraction, vasodilation, cardiac function, platelet function, and liver glycogen metabolism. Now, how does ATP produce energy? ATP has 3 phosphate groups in each molecule. When one of the phosphate groups is removed, a tremendous amount of energy is released. The body, in turn, uses this energy to perform a wide range of biological processes, including muscle contraction, DNA and RNA synthesis, transportation of nutrients in and out of cells, and communication between cells. As this energy is being used up, the body must create more ATP to meet demand. Under normal circumstances, this process happens seamlessly, meaning your body can produce enough energy to keep up with regular tasks such as unloading groceries, walking the dog, folding laundry. However, intense physical activity creates a tremendous demand for ATP. Since skeletal muscle tissue only stores a limited amount of ATP at any one time, and intense exercise consumes high amounts of it, your body has to rely on other substrates to generate ATP after a few seconds. Research indicates that endogenous muscle stores of ATP are capable of supporting maximal work for a max of 1 to 2 seconds, after which intercellular phosphocreatine kicks in to supply additional fast-acting ATP, which lasts all of 2 to 7 seconds. Increasing muscle's ability to rapidly regenerate ATP and thereby stave off decrements in performance is one of the primary reasons many individuals supplement with creatine monohydrate. Many individuals also consume a carbohydrate-rich meal pre-workout or sip on an intra-workout supplement during training to make sure there is a steady supply of blood glucose to support energy production and delay the onset of fatigue. Now, let's go. Peak ATP. What are the benefits? Increases muscle torque output. The initial study investigating the potential ergogenic effects of peak ATP sought to determine whether a 400 milligram dose of peak ATP would improve force output and reduce fatigue in resistance trained individuals. 16 healthy participants, 8 male, 8 females, ages 21 to 34, enrolled in the double-blinded placebo-controlled study using a crossover design. Following is a graph to show the supplementation and training protocol used during the trial. So you can see exercise restriction, fasting blood sample on the third day. And then they dosed from the third day to the 18th. And then from the 15th to the 18th, exercise restriction. And then they did a fasting blood sample on day 18. And they did 3 sets of concentric knee extensions with a 2-minute rest in between. For each of the trials, participants consumed their assigned capsules, placebo or peak ATP, for 15 days, 1 in the morning before dinner and 1 at night before dinner. Subjects receiving the peak ATP treatment were receiving 200 milligrams peak ATP per capsule for a total daily of 400 milligrams. After the supplementation period, the participants reported to the laboratory for testing following a 12-hour overnight fast. Reason they used 400 milligrams was that previous research using a dose of 225 failed to improve bench press strength compared with the placebo. So 225 was not enough. During the course of the trials, participants were instructed to refrain from vigorous exercise for 3 days before reporting to the laboratory in the morning after an overnight fast. They were allowed some stuff. Look at this. Supplementation with 400 milligrams peak ATP led to a significant increase in low peak torque and a trend toward a decrease in torque fatigue across the 3 working sets. You can see set 1, high peak torque, low peak torque, and percentage decrease in torque over time. You can see this top level right here. Very cool, very cool. You can see a much less of a decrease from those taking peak ATP. Very cool. So it helps you put out more power. Makes you lift heavier weights. Also, it improves blood flow. ATP can enhance vasodilation and, as a result, blood flow. ATP, the actual molecule itself. In addition to improving exercise performance, researchers wanted to know if supplementing with peak ATP could increase blood flow above what is naturally attained from exercise, since physical activity in and of itself increases blood flow to the working muscles. Animal models using a human equivalent of 1,000 and 1,600 milligrams exhibited the most pronounced increases in blood flow during exercise and into the recovery period. During the same study, humans were also studied using the previously researched dose of 400 milligrams peak ATP. For the 12-week pilot study, 12 resistance-trained males, age 23.7 plus or minus 3 years, height 179 plus or minus a centimeter, weight 87.3 plus or minus 6.1 kilograms, were given 400 milligrams of peak ATP daily 30 minutes before breakfast for 12 weeks. To determine blood flow during in-working muscles, subjects performed an exercise test consisting of 3 sets of 20 contractions at 50% of the subject's 1 rep max. Volumetric blood flow and vessel dilation in the brachial artery were measured using ultrasound at rest before taking the supplement, at rest 30 minutes after supplementation, and at 0, 3, and 6 minutes after the exercise test. All right, very cool. Major finding from the studies. Week 1, increases in blood flow at 0 minutes post-exercise and at 3 minutes post-exercise compared to control week 0. This increase in blood flow at week 1 was concomitant with an increase in brachial dilation at 0 minutes post-exercise. At weeks 8 and 12, researchers noted an increase in blood flow at 0 minutes post-exercise and at 3 minutes post-exercise at 8 weeks relative to the control week. This again was in conjunction with increases in vasodilation 30 minutes after ATP treatment at rest at week 8 and 6 minute post-exercise at 12 weeks. We all know that one byproduct of greater blood flow is bigger muscle pumps, which increases cellular swelling and may promote muscle growth. But another byproduct of this enhanced blood flow could improve removal of metabolic waste projects such as lactate and urea generated from muscle contractions. Additionally, improved circulation also facilitates greater delivery of nutrients, amino acids, glucose, as well as oxygen to exercising muscles, which can help sustain performance and promote recovery. In the conclusion, researchers note that the exact mechanism whereby ATP increases blood flow during post-exercise recovery periods remains unknown. All right. Also, peak ATP enhances lean mass. And then this is another randomized double-blind placebo and diet-controlled study with 21 resistance-trained males. And it helps people look better. All right. Increase post-exercise ATP levels. The next 42 healthy male individuals, 18 to 30 in this study, looking at their ATP levels after they train to see how depleted they are, if they're able to recover better. Interestingly, our primary findings of the studies were that supplementation with peak ATP prevented exercise-induced declines in ATP and its metabolite. Additionally, peak ATP supplementation also enhanced peak power and muscular excitability, which would be beneficial for sports requiring repeated high-intensity sprinting bouts, such as football, basketball, and soccer. Interestingly, while peak ATP supplementation appears to improve performance, researchers are still not sure how it does that. All right, also improves lower body training. Once again, another study suggests that supplementing with peak ATP prior to a fatiguing high-volume leg day may help gym goers lift more weight. You'll love to see it. Also, reduces blood pressure. All right, so it's talking about helping people lower their blood pressure. The conclusion of the study, researchers also noted that ATP supplementation potentiated the parasympathetic recovery after exercise, so helping you recover and get back to going in that gym the next day and not being completely depleted of all energy and any performance. All right, here is the takeaway. Peak ATP is an exogenous form of bioavailable ATP shown in research to increase strength and power during high-intensity workouts, enhance lean body mass, improve recovery during and between workouts, increase oxygen delivery while improving blood flow, and reducing overall fatigue. Very good compound. And I'm glad that they included it. Now, they do include a pretty hefty dose. And in some of the studies, they did 400 milligrams. This is 450 milligrams. So you're getting more than was actually in these studies. So this is a fantastic dose of peak ATP. We're really liking this. And then just some other things. before I move on to oh wait, yeah. Last things that I want to touch on here. The creatine. So we know that the betaine and the peak ATP, those are also going to help out with blood flow, with overall performance, with overall recovery. One thing that I'm not a huge fan of is the Magnum Power and the creatine HCl. And let me explain why. It is not because these things are not valuable or that they don't work or that they're not good on their own. I'm simply saying just have more creatine monohydrate. The magnesium creatine chelate is creatine monohydrate with magnesium added to it so that it helps with keeping the hydration within the muscles, and it's bonded to magnesium. And then same thing with creatine hydrochloride. It's the creatine molecule attached to hydrogen and chlorine. And the belief with that is that it helps to get into the muscles and saturate the muscles, and just overall helps the absorption of creatine. Although I say just to have more creatine monohydrate in there. I mean, you're having 1.5 grams of this magnesium creatine, and then you're having 750 milligrams of this hydrochloric hydrogen and chlorine creatine, which isn't bad, but it's not as good as creatine monohydrate, which is my only I wouldn't even say dislike, because I think this is a great product and I actually ordered it. Hopefully it gets here soon. But those are the only things that I don't really like about this formula. I think it is somewhat making it a little bit different, which I can understand in other formulas, but I would have preferred to just have creatine monohydrate at just maybe 5.5 grams, 6 grams, like something like that would be crazy. Most pre-workouts or creatine formulas will have 5 grams standard. But I do like that they think it's interesting that they had the Magnum Power and the HCl in there as well in terms of the creatine. It makes it a little bit different, but I would have preferred to see them just have that in creatine monohydrate. That's personal preference for me. I don't think it really changes that much in the overall performance, but the dosing of the ingredients for this thing are fantastic. This looks like a great product. And I got the electric lemonade. So I don't know when it's going to get here, but we'll see. Hopefully the electric lemonade is good. I looked at the Baja cooler. I don't know what that tastes like. I didn't really trust it all that much, but I guess we'll figure it out. I guess we will see.